Okay, so we have another microphone video for you guys today. This one is also a Fifine microphone. I've looked at Fifine microphones before in the past. Previously, the K688 and also the AM8. Both were fine microphones, pun intended. But this one is a little bit different. This one is the Fifine. Let me put this box back together. Fifine M9. Now, this is Fifine's first introduction into the lavalier, wireless lavalier transmitter receiver type of microphones. I've looked on their website. This is the only one that's available, so I'm guessing this is their first entry into it, and maybe their only entry. I don't know exactly, but this is the M9, and it's made for, as you would have guessed, people that uses cameras, right? So video makers, videographers, content creators, and indie filmmakers, and the like. This is a little bit different from the stuff that we've looked at before in the past because those were more so dynamic studio microphones. This is more so microphones that you're going to be putting on your camera. So the requirements are going to be a little bit different. But audio quality wise, here's the thing. Fifine, they know how to make good audio on a budget, and these ones are no exceptions. When I first looked at the K688, I was really impressed with the audio quality that came out of that at that price point, and with the AM8, I was equally as impressed. And these ones are no exceptions. They also sound very good. Now, at times, they do sound a little bit tinny, I've noticed, but overall, they sound very good for what they are. Now, keep in mind, there is a sort of a value to price to value sort of a ratio that we are taking into account here. These microphones run for about $100, give or take. I think it's actually under $100 actually, but under $100 or $100 more or less, give or take. These sound very good, right? Even though, yeah, sometimes they do sound a little bit tinny, I think they sound very good for under $100. If you're going to be comparing it to your high-end professional lavaliers, obviously, it's no match for that. But at that price point, if you're looking for something very, very budget-friendly that works and sound good, these ones are good options for that. Now, we've seen these kind of microphones quite a bit before in the past. A lot of companies do these. The more well-known ones are obviously DJI and also Rode. These are the 2.4 gigahertz wireless transmitter and receiver microphones. In terms of audio-wise, as I mentioned, I think the audio sounds really good, but I do have some gripes with this device right here, and more so in terms of the design of it, because as I mentioned, the studio dynamic microphones are one thing, but this is a different kind of microphones, and they do have different requirements. So we'll get more into what I don't like about them in a second, but first, let's take a look and see what's inside the box. Okay, so inside the box, basically there is nothing because I've already unboxed it. There's a lot of these unboxing videos where they've already unboxed it and they basically rebox it to unbox it for you on camera, but we're not going to be doing that today. Let's take a look and see what's inside that cardboard box, which is basically this box, right? So this is not so much a box, it's more so a case. This hard case that it comes with, which is honestly, I really appreciate that they come with some kind of a hard case, because a lot of other microphones, a lot of times they just come with some sort of a soft pouch, which isn't really that protective. It stores everything in there nicely, but it's not really that protective. This is a nice hard case. Inside, there is a mesh pocket for you to store cables and stuff like that in here. And also, there's the manual as well if you're interested in looking through that. And also in here, there's a few accessories. These furries go on exactly the same way the Rode Wireless Go microphones go on as well. Basically, you just put the furry onto the capsule and then you twist it to lock it in place. And it's very secure. They don't fall off and they work very well. So inside this bag here, there's a few cables. Let's see. Let's go through this one first. First of all, you get a USB-C cable. So you have a USB-A to a USB-C cable that's used to charge the case, which accepts a USB-C on the backhand side. 3 of these cables for connectivity. So one of which is the more standard one, which is basically a TRS right angle cable that goes into the camera and that goes into a coil cable. And on the other end, you have a straight end TRS cable that goes into the receiver. And a few other ones that they come with is one that is TRS for the right angle side cable. This one goes into a phone, and the other end goes into the receiver as well. This one is also TRS. And also, last but not least, you have a USB-C cable that goes into the phone, and the other end is the right angle, for some reason, TRS that goes into the receiver. So if you have an older iPhone like myself, I have the iPhone 13. Unfortunately, they don't have anything for Lightning, but nowadays, basically every phone is a USB-C, so this shouldn't be a problem at all. I haven't tried adapting this over to Lightning to see if it works, but I'm pretty sure it should. But yeah, for those of us that are using Lightning cable phones, maybe it's time for an upgrade. Inside of this hard case, there's also a little section here that's cut out for the case itself, and it fits pretty snug in there. Okay, so let's take a closer look at this microphone system. So on the case itself, on the front side, there's 4 LED lights to show you the battery. On the backhand side, there is a USB-C cable for charging. And then once you open up the lid, inside you have 2 wireless transmitters with the microphone capsule facing the top. And here is the receiver. Actually, one thing that I didn't try, and I'm curious to know if it works or not, is can you put the furry windscreen onto the microphone and then close the lid? Because that's something that a lot of people like to do, especially if they shoot outside a lot. So yeah, you basically just put them on like so, and then you twist them to lock them in place. So I'm gonna put them in. It's pretty big. I don't think, yeah, it's not gonna work. It's not gonna work. It basically just, nope. Yeah, so that is unfortunate. But, you know, a lot of microphones don't let you do that, so it's not really just Fifine. Really, only DJI Mic Mini lets you do that. So, okay, so let's take a look at the microphones a little bit closer. So these are the transmitters. On the front, you have the Fifine smiley face logo. We'll talk about that. And on the top of that, there's 2 little blinky lights. So one of them basically shows you the connectivity, and one is for the battery. But once I take it out, you can see that the blue flashing light turns solid. There you go. And on the top of that, you have the microphone capsule. And then on the right-hand side, you have 2 buttons. One is for pairing, and one is a dedicated button for noise rejection or noise cancellation. On the other side, there is a power button, and on the backhand side, you have a clip to clip onto your shirt. On the bottom, there is a USB-C port for charging. So I do like the fact that they've separated out these buttons, this noise cancellation or noise rejection button. A lot of times on other microphones, they put that in with the power button, so they share the same button, and that sometimes can get confusing, right? So it's nice that this actually has dedicated buttons for each function, which makes it very easy to not click the wrong one by accident. One thing I do want to point out is that this looks awfully similar to the size of a DJI mic or DJI Mic 2, which is pretty funny. And when we look at the receiver end of it, the receiver is the size of the Rode Wireless Go's. So it's interesting how they kind of mush the two together. But let's take a look at the receiver. On the top side here, you have the Fifine logo, and on the front side, you have the display screen. Now, this isn't actually an LCD display. This is clearly where they cut some of the costs. This is basically just a few blinking lights with a plastic cover on top. On the right-hand side, you have the 3.5mm jack to plug into the camera. And on the right-hand side of that, you have a pair button, and also you have a mono/stereo button. So this basically allows you to use both stereo channels for your microphones or single channels left and right. So if you have 2 transmitters and you put it into mono, that means that one of them is on the left side, one of them is on the right side, and then you can, edit them a little bit better that way. Or if you put it into stereo, then they'll basically just mix together into one single stereo track. On the bottom of that, you have the USB-C connector, and then on the right-hand side, you have a power button, and then there's 2 buttons that's labeled A and B. A is for the A transmitter, and B is for the B transmitter. These buttons are used to adjust the gain levels. There's 3 levels of gain. So as mentioned earlier, the size of this looks like the DJI Mic 2, and the size of the receiver looks like the Rode Wireless Go's. And a lot of people say like, hey, these are very small. They're basically the same size as the DJI Mic or the Rode Wireless Go's. But that's actually not the case, because these aren't exactly competing with the DJI Mic 2s or the Rode Wireless Go's or the Rode Wireless Pros. And mainly the reason why is because these are a lot simpler in design. They don't have any sort of way to connect an external lavalier mic. There's no internal recording. There's no 32-bit float. There's none of the bells and whistles that those microphones have. So those ones I would say are a little bit more professional level. These ones I would find more as like the content creator sort of microphones, where you just need something that's fast and easy. These ones are more so competing with the Hollyland Lark M2s. And when you compare it with that, you can clearly see that the size difference is massive, right? Like this is the DJI Mic 2 size. And yeah, I mean, it's still pretty small, I guess. But the Hollyland Lark M2 is much smaller. It's like a button size. It's like almost half the size. Width-wise is much smaller. Depth-wise is much smaller as well. And even though like you might be thinking like, oh, it's not really that big of a difference, it is, because these are meant to clip onto your shirt. And even though it's not too heavy, this is very light actually. When you clip it onto your shirt, the size of it still makes it pull onto your collar and hang like this in this really awkward sort of a position. And this isn't really a good look for the camera. Whereas, for example, if you use the Hollyland Lark M2s, they basically clip on and they're so small that they barely pull onto your shirt at all. Now, I would say that the Hollyland Lark M2 would be the direct competitor to the Fifine M9 and not the DJI Mic Mini nor the Rode Wireless Go's, because these ones have a much closer feature set compared to the Fifine, and also similar price as well. These ones are a little bit more expensive, but overall they're not too far off, and honestly these ones go on sale quite a bit. So I would say the price point between the two are pretty close and similar enough that I would say these are more so the direct competitors. Also, the Hollyland are super popular amongst the content creator market, and so this will be a good head-to-head. So moving forward, I'm going to be using the Hollyland Lark M2s along with the Fifine M9 clipped onto my shirt at about the same distance, and letting you guys hear the A/B differences between these two lavalier microphones. Okay, so as you can see here, I have both microphones clipped onto my shirt at about the same distance to my mouth. The Fifine M9 is over here on my left, and then the Hollyland Lark M2 is on my right. I even used the one with the white sticker to make it obvious for you guys that there's a mic there. So there you go. Hopefully this is all working perfectly fine. I'm gonna A/B between these two microphones to let you guys hear the differences. As you can see that on my shirt, now that I clipped into my shirt, you can see that it does because of the size of it, it does hang forward quite a bit and is more like facing this way rather than, being nicely attached to my shirt. So there's that. But let's talk about, in terms of sizes, let's talk about the case size as well. So we have both of the charging cases here. Now, they're not too big of a difference in terms of sizes for the case, but the Hollyland does feel a lot smaller because of the fact that it's more of a rectangular shape all around. Everything's flat, and it overall just feels a lot more compact. Whereas on the Fifine M9, even though again, like I mentioned, the size is not that big of a difference, it is a lot bulgier, and it makes it feel like it's a lot chunkier than what it is. But the Fifine is slightly bigger. So if we look at the size comparison here, the height of them is pretty similar. The thickness of them is also pretty similar as well, but in terms of the length-wise, the Fifine is slightly longer on that end. So as I mentioned earlier, what do I not like about the Fifine M9? And it's primarily the design and the build quality. As you can hear, it doesn't sound the most premium in terms of build quality. It's a very plasticky build, doesn't feel the most durable. If we look at the Hollyland, I mean, this is also a plastic build, but for some reason, this plastic feels a lot more durable, and it feels a lot more dense as well. It feels like this is quite a high quality plastic, whereas on the Fifine M9, this does not feel like the most robust plastic out there. Particularly, the thing that worries me the most is this hinge right here. This hinge is, honestly, it feels very flimsy. Like this is the equivalent of the C70 LCD hinge on a lavalier charging case. Now, that being said, the C70 is $4,000, so there you go. But regardless, the hinge on this is not the most durable. It doesn't feel the most sturdy, and it just wobbles back and forth like that. My worry is it's not gonna, withstand the test of time, especially when you, bring this out and you bring this out to the field or onto set or whatever, or onto, your vacations or wherever you're bringing this to. If you end up dropping this, I feel like the hinge might snap off. Now, I've never dropped it before, and I'm not going to drop it, so I can't say for sure, but I'm just speculating here. It doesn't feel the most robust in terms of the hinge design. Now, speaking of design, let's talk about the transmitter for a second. So first and foremost, one thing that really bugs me is the fact that they put this smiley face logo on the front. If you don't know, typically for videographers, filmmakers, whatnot, we typically like to black this out. And the main reason is because we don't want it to be distracting in front of the camera. So we'll put gaff tape on there, or some companies like Hollyland, they actually provide stickers for us to cover the logo of the front of the transmitter, which is great. On this one, it has a smiley face on it, and there's no way to cover it up unless you use your own gaff tape. Now, I get it. Fine, you want to advertise your logo, your branding on the microphone. But honestly, I'd rather you write the word Fine than, you know, have the smiley face. Or if you're going to put the smiley face, make it a little bit more subtle, make it a little bit more inconspicuous. That would be more preferred. Again, if you black it out completely, that would be best. But if you are going to brand your logo on there, like most of these microphones do, maybe make it a little bit more obvious that it's Fine and not a smiley face, which looks a little bit distracting. Now that complaint right there is actually a little bit nitpicky, so apologies for that. But the main complaint I have with the transmitter is actually the clip design. Now, if you remember, this clip design is actually a design that goes all the way back to the Rode Wireless Go 1, the first generation wireless Go's from Rode. And yeah, back then this was the only option that they have, a way to clip it to your shirt, and that's it. But after DJI came out with the magnet design on the back of the transmitter, basically everything else since then became magnets as the standards. Nobody was using the clips anymore. Maybe they included the clips as like an option, but it wasn't the default way to clip it to your shirt. It was always the magnets. But yeah, this clip design is a little bit disappointing, honestly. It's a little bit dated, and we've moved past from that already. So it would be nice if, for example, Fine, if you're gonna make a next iteration of this, please include magnets. And finally, the last thing I do want to talk about, and this isn't really a nitpicky thing, it might seem like it, but it's actually not, and that is the cable that it comes with. Now, I don't know why, but on the main cable that connects to the camera, which is one that I'm currently using right now, so I can't show you, but on that one and also on this one, which connects to your phone using the TRRS, for some reason, one side is right angle, the other side is straight. Why is that? Why is one side straight, the other side's right angle? A lot of times they're both right angle and that works perfectly fine. Why make it so it's like one is right angle, one is straight? I don't get that. The reason why these are typically right angle is because once you have it plugged in, if anything snags onto the cable, it's not gonna pull out immediately because the right angle kind of changes the angle of it, so it doesn't pull out immediately. But if you have a straight cable that goes into something, if anything snags on it, it's gonna immediately pull the cable out from the jack. And on that note, the 3.5 millimeter on the receiver of the Fifine M9 is also super loose. Like, I've noticed that with the slightest tug, the cable will just come right off. It's just, I don't know if it's a quality control issue or it's just where they source their 3.5 millimeter jacks is not the best, but yeah, like that loose jack in combination with a straight end cable isn't a very secure fit. Okay, so last but not least, one last thing I do want to test out is the noise rejection or noise cancellation feature on the Fifine M9, and we might as well compare that with the noise cancellation feature on the Hollyland Lark M2 as well. To be perfectly frank, I never used the noise cancellation feature, so there's that. And honestly, to be perfectly honest, I don't think anybody ever does. It's more so there just as like a backup, just in case something goes wrong. In a pinch, it could be useful, so let's see how that sounds. I'm just gonna basically play some audio. Okay, so I currently have a track going on in the background. I'm not actually outside for this. This is basically just, that was loud. So right now the noise cancellation is off, but I'm gonna turn it on right now on both of these and see what they sound like. So there you go, that's the noise cancellation on the Fifine M9. And the noise cancellation for the Hollyland is also on at the same time as well. So currently they both have noise cancellation on, and the traffic noise is currently playing in the background. I have no idea if you can hear any of this or anything that I'm saying. We'll find out later on. Oh man, that is loud. Yeah, but as noted, a lot of times these noise cancellation features on these microphones do not sound very good. So it kind of, turns your voice into a very robotic sounding voice. So, as you can hear, even on the Hollyland, it doesn't sound very good at all. So use it, on your own discretion. Is this what New York sounds like? Seriously, this is too noisy. Okay, so we are back on the non-noise canceling setting on both of these microphones, and we're finally out of New York. So thank God for that. That was super noisy. I mean, I'm sure New York is great. I've never been to New York, but I'm sure New York is great, and I'm, God bless to those that live in New York, but that noise level is intense. Like, hopefully those of you that live in New York have a good pair of noise canceling headphones because that was just unbearable. But anyways, to conclude, the Fifine M9 wireless lavalier microphone, overall, I checked it, the price is $80. For $80, it's not bad. And they work very well. Like, there's no issues in terms of connectivity or anything. Like, once I put them into the case, they charge. Once I take it out, they turn on and they pair. So there's no issues in terms of like usability. The main issue is the build quality, especially this hinge. The thing is, Fifine is sort of the budget microphone company, and they're known for that, and they're also known for having very good audio for the price bracket that they come in. I previously looked at the AM8, which also had a plasticky build, but the thing is, with those microphones, they are studio dynamic microphones, which means that you set them up once like this, and you probably will never touch them ever again. Yeah, maybe you'll move it around and stuff like that, but you're never really handling it that much. But with stuff like this, you're taking this out and about, and honestly, like the amount of times you're going to be pulling this in and out of your pockets, opening and closing this lid, I don't really have the best and the most confident with this sort of plasticky case design. So hopefully on the next iteration, Fifine improves that. Overall, that's my thoughts on the Fifine M9. If you guys agree with me, perfect, give me a like. If you disagree with me, that's okay as well. It's a free country, give me a like anyways. All right, until next time, bye-bye.